You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Wheel podcast. It's Sean and I, and today we're talking about the KOA 2026 Camping and Outdoor Hospitality Report. This report comes out every year from KOA, and Sean, I never even heard of this report until we started doing this show, and you were the first person to introduce this report to me. I find it kind of fascinating, everything that they have laid out and detailed. This year is 55 to 56 pages, so it's really in-depth. Sean and I are just going to go over some of the highlights, but if you want to look at the report yourself, you absolutely can. I'm going to leave a link in the show notes for you to check it out. It is free to everybody. You don't have to be an influencer or media or anything like that. It's open for anybody that wants to check it out. Sean, I'm so glad that you introduced this report to me because I think it gives us great insight, not just for us as podcasters and somebody that likes to be in the media format of RVing, but I think it's good information for just the consumer as well.
Yeah, it gives a lot of trends over the years. They've been doing it for quite a while. And so it's nice to see the trends and maybe where you fit in amongst all the other RVers. And even I think it gives you some opportunities to see when it's the best time to travel if you're not into crowds or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And it really is a great snapshot of like where the industry is and where it's headed. It is very heavily trend based. I think that's a good way to kind of put in there. And I would say it's mostly good news for the camping industry. You know, it's kind of bigger than ever, and there's always changes in the industry and in camping. I feel like these last couple years, though, we see bigger swings than we have in the past. I think RVing and camping was always kind of like a steady slope, and now we can kind of go all over the place with it.
Some of the big numbers or big stats that jump out right away are that more than 52 million North American households camped in 2025. To put that in perspective, that's not all RVing, though. That's tent camping, RV camping, camping in cabins, glamping. I think the report said 19% were RVs. So that's about almost 10 million, 9.8 million RVers.
What that equates to money wise is that it's a 66 billion with a B economical impact. That's huge for our economy. I think, and I wonder if this is just speculation. Does a company like Love's Travel Center see that and say, "Oh, we got to start offering"? If you listen to our last episode, do we need to start offering RV services now at our truck stops? This is a growing industry. There's going to be a lot of people traveling on the highways. Let's start offering some type of service. That's a lot of that's a lot of campers.
Yeah, and I guess the frustrating part of that is every week in the news, I see towns and counties turning down people that want to build campgrounds, not just RV campgrounds, but campgrounds in general. And it's taken away a lot of potential economic benefits for those towns.
Yeah,
I mean, I
yeah.
think it said the average spending for a camper with a family is like in the local economy is like $236 a day.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy.
yeah.
Why would you not want that in your community? And it's not like these people are all criminals or anything. It's just families out having a good time or couples out having a good time or solo campers out having a good time. There's nothing nefarious about camping.
Yeah, I think that is the fear though. Like they're weary of travelers for some reason. And then sometimes, the RVers and campers and get bad raps for whatever reason. And I guess a lot of times people think, oh, if they're going to build an RV park, they picture something more of like maybe a rundown mobile home park. And I guess that's what scares the towns and things like that. But yeah, there's more pros than cons that come from building a campground for sure. Unfortunately, that's always been a problem, and it still seems to continue being a problem. Actually, I'm going to do some search and see if we can get maybe another campground builder on, or maybe we could have Joey Locker come back on to the show and maybe talk about that and if he's ran into issues and how does he handle those issues. I know he has ran into those issues, but I'm wondering if maybe we could just focus on what he does to kind of relieve and make a city or town feel better. One of the things that I took away from this report, Sean, is that the numbers now for camping proceed pre-pandemic levels. So we had a big burst of new campers because of the pandemic, but we're now holding numbers even higher and staying that way, which makes me say that like this isn't like a fad. I don't think camping is like, oh, everybody's raging over it right now and then it's going to go away. I think the people that experience and the people that like it end up loving it and are going to continue on with it. I think if you tried it and you didn't like it, then you'll probably put it aside pretty quickly. I think you can decide fairly fast if you like RVing and camping or you don't. Like, I think, I don't think there's much of a like, oh, well, we'll give it a few months. I think you know right away.
Yeah, and it's interesting, like, it was the high before the pandemic, it was like the high 50s, very low 60% of households that camped, and
Hmm.
now it's like high 60s%, and it's been holding steady, which, yeah, it's good news that people are enjoying it and getting outside and spending time away from the hustle and bustle, I guess.
Yeah, and I definitely see it on the road. I can't leave my house, I don't think. Well, I know. I can't leave my house without seeing some type of RV or a towable, which is still RV, but a van, like, it is everywhere.
I guess the downside to this is that the frequency of camping seems to have dropped. So, like, even though high 60% of households do camp, the number of campers that go 3 or more times per year has actually been lower the past few years than it was in the past. So, interesting,
Yeah.
but I think part of that has to do with, like, the economy and stuff too.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I wonder if that's economy causing it to be more expensive per trip. So you got to cut down on how often you go out. And maybe because of the economy, you're working more and you have less free time, would be the two things that I would think is probably what's contributing to that.
Yeah, it's interesting, but at least people are keeping with it,
Yeah.
still going out there and doing it.
Yeah, and some of the reasons, so the report goes into some of the reasons why they believe that camping is expanding is because it's more than just a cheap way to travel, which I'm going to put cheap in quotes. It's not always the cheapest way to travel. I think people found that getting outside and into nature helped with their overall level of fitness and wellness and just well-being and good state of mind. I think it helped with your mental stability too and your overall feeling. We talked to Mind Over Land and how they try to get the veterans out into enjoying overlanding because how good it was for them physically and mentally just to be out in nature. I think people are finding too that it's a great family activity, a reason to put down the phones, get together, go outside, get to know one each other a little bit better. I think there's a lot of advantages to camping, and I think maybe it's being marketed in a way now that it's not just save some money at a hotel and get a towable and travel in a towable. I think they're showcasing that it is an adventure, that it's more than just more than cheap cheap travel.
Yeah, I think in this report, 52% of people that responded said that camping they went camping because of the love of the outdoors, and then
Mhm.
the next one was wanting to get away from crowds and noise, which was 30%. So it's a huge amount that do it for the love of the outdoors, which is great.
Yeah, and I know some people might say, well, that maybe they're just trying to get away from technology and get a change of scenery. But today's RVs are pretty high tech, and also everywhere I go, I see Starlinks everywhere. So I
Yeah.
don't I don't think people are trying to get away from tech or unplug like it used to be. I think at one time people did go camping just to unplug and be. I'm thinking more of a tent camper, I guess. And I think they were purposely trying to get off grid and disconnect. But I see everybody still at the campgrounds on their phones, Starlinks out. If I go dry camping and I'm out in the middle of the desert, people got their Starlinks out. So people aren't, I wouldn't say, getting away from technology. I think they're just trying to maybe get away from people, but maybe not
Yeah.
technology.
They actually have a whole section of this report on technology
Hmm.
in the outdoors. In 2025 and actually 2024, the number was fairly consistent. The percentage of campers who say Wi-Fi is somewhat or very important is almost 50%. So,
Mm.
yeah, I agree with you, Kenny. I don't think it's necessarily getting away from technology, but it's getting away from everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. Everything else. Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree. This will bring us to our first question for you guys in the comments. If you want to leave us a comment, do you camp to unplug and get away from, say, technology and that connection? Or are you just looking to relocate and get like different scenery? What is your reason why, I guess, is do you camp?
Yeah, it says campers report an average of 5.2 additional nights per year when Wi-Fi is available.
Oh, really? That's a lot.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's a big difference. And that's something, I guess maybe the campgrounds are relying on all these different sorts of hotspots and Starlink, but I don't see campgrounds putting a ton of money still into their like Wi-Fi infrastructure. I still feel like they are relying it on the camper itself. And I wish the campgrounds did have better internet availability. There's still a lot of young campers working in their RV. Not everybody's on vacation. And a lot of people like movie nights and things like that. So being able to stream a movie in your RV is fun for the kids too. So I wish campgrounds were putting more money into their internet, but it seems, in my opinion, it seems to me as if they are letting that burden go on to the individual camper.
yeah. And I'm still amazed, Kenny. Like we were just down at Fort Wilderness in March, and using the Wi-Fi at Fort Wilderness is almost like being at home. I mean, it's almost as good as if
Oh,
I'm
really?
sitting here in my house. So I don't know how they do it. I know Disney has a lot of money, so they can afford probably more than these regular campgrounds, non-resort type campgrounds, but it's possible. It's possible to improve it because theirs is incredible.
Yeah, and that wasn't always the case in Fort Wilderness. A few years ago, Fort Wilderness internet was not great at all, like at all. It was good enough to check email, and that was about it.
Yeah, I
So,
didn't get on my hotspot
ah,
or not once. I used the campground Wi-Fi there the whole time, and it was perfect, and I worked meetings on Teams and everything. It was great.
see, that's great because even though people are using like Starlink and they got data and hotspots and things like that, not everything is always unlimited. Even Starlink doesn't necessarily mean that you have an unlimited plan. So the ability to turn it off every once in a while and save some of your data and use the campground services would be a big advantage, I think. And the great thing about this report too, Sean, is one, I know for you, you really like it, and I appreciate it, is all the graphs and the charts that they have in here. So if you're not big on, I would say, reading, like you can kind of just glaze over the charts and the pie charts, and they got bar charts and get a pretty good snapshot, and that they do percentages. So it says glamping is on the rise. 29% of all camping experiences are now glamping, and 31% of new campers choose glamping first, which I think that makes sense. I think, if you're going to go into it and you want to like kind of dip your toes per se into the RVing lifestyle and you want to see what it's all about, I guess if you're going to go in, go big. I guess go with
Yeah.
that glamping experience to see what the best of the best is like. And of course, the best of the best is going to be different for everybody. Not everybody wants to glamp, I would consider, yeah, I feel like almost any campground or RV resort is like glamping. I know there's different levels of that, but I mean, I feel like if I have a washer and dryer and a swimming pool, that's glamping to me.
Yeah,
um,
they actually define it in the at the end of the report. They actually define what glamping is in this report, and they define it as staying in unique accommodations with enhanced services and amenities. So
okay,
I'm thinking maybe, Kenny, this is a KOA report and they have cabins. I wonder if those are considered glamping, the cabins, because they're unique. They have enhanced services and amenities compared to a tent or an RV.
I would consider that glamping. I guess they're also saying when they're saying unique, it's probably the locations that they're in. If you're able to get, close to a national park or something, maybe like right on the beach, that's probably considered glamping too. If you got beach views right from your campsite, you're probably glamping. I would even consider like a KOA that's in Tucson, Arizona, where you have a restaurant and a bar right on property. Like you don't even have to get in your car and drive somewhere. That's glamping. Like you're just walking to the restaurant slash bar and they got pickleball, miniature golf, two swimming pools, the hot tubs, laundry, basketball courts. Like that's glamping to me. That's glamping.
And then
Anything.
some have unique things like this KOA that we go to near Virginia Beach. They have these tents they're not really tents. They're like these canvas shelters that I would also
Oh yeah,
consider like glamping, or some places have yurts.
yurts. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
We've seen railroad cars that are converted into camping houses, I guess. I don't know what the term is, but yeah, there's lots of unique kind of camping options. Covered wagons I've seen.
Yep. I like the
Yeah,
covered wagons. They got them at the Withville KOA, and I always thought they seem really cool. That's glamping too, I think.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I guess there's a concern with glamping in the sense that it's more expensive than, say, your typical RV park would be. And of course, you don't have to spend that extra money. But I wonder if does resorts that are considered more of a resort style with a glamping style feel to it, does it kind of raise the price across the board for RVing? Like, are campgrounds in general getting more expensive today than they were, say, 5 years ago? I think the answer is yes, but I
Yeah.
don't know if I would blame it on the glamping lifestyle of it. I think it's just the fact that the industry has grown and there's more campers, and with that usually just comes with more demand, which increases cost of things.
I think it is bad. I think I talked about this several episodes ago, maybe even last year, Kenny, where I thought we were like on the industry. I thought the industry was starting to price out, some lower income families where this would be a great travel opportunity for them. And I don't want it. I d- I don't want that to happen, but it seems like it is getting more expensive. A lot of that is the economy right now. It's also just the industry in general, I feel, is getting more expensive.
Yeah, you did say that last year, Sean, and I totally agree with you. I think more than just the campgrounds, but the prices of new RVs has increased significant. I mean, big jumps. A Class A gas motor home that Sabrina and I was looking at 5, 7 years ago has increased by like $100,000. I mean, a big jump in motorhome pricing. So that's definitely going to keep people from being able to experience this. They're going to, and I think we're going to get into this later. It's probably why the RV rental market is so high and growing so much because, all right, well, maybe I can't afford the monthly payment on an RV that I'm only going to take out 3, maybe 4 times a year if the frequency is going down. But if I can rent it for a single weekend. I'm not paying the insurance on it all year. I'm not paying property taxes on it. I'm not doing the maintenance on it. And a lot of people's viewpoints, they're probably looking at the rental over the buying purchase. And we'll get into that a little bit more because KOA does talk about renting an RV too, and how that is growing. But again, this is another point that we can ask you guys to leave a comment somewhere and say, what has been your experience out on the road? Are you noticing that it is getting more expensive to RV, whether that be the RVs itself, the camping experience, the resorts? Are pricing going up more at state parks and national parks, or is it just in the private sector? We'd be curious to hear from you. What do you think about the pricing of camping? Do you think it's rising, decreasing, and what do you think is causing it?
In this report, they talk a little bit about economics of traveling, and they talk about lower income campers, and they prioritize low cost activities. They look for trips under 50 miles from their house. And they say that personal finances and health kept them from camping in 2025. So I think not every campground needs to be resort style. There needs to be a balance so that lower income people can still enjoy the outdoors,
Yeah,
which is
and I
great
know.
if you're close to like a national park or something like that, where the campgrounds are a little bit cheaper in price, I think.
Yep.
Government campgrounds, I guess I would say, are a little bit cheaper in price. And a lot of times they're in awesome locations, but not everybody's near a place that has that opportunity within 50 miles of their home.
My favorite campgrounds are typically state parks because they have just the amenities I kind of want or need. Typically, you don't even usually get full hookups. You just get water or electric, and then you sewer, you just empty on your way out of the park. I really like state parks for pricing. I think they usually give you a little bit more space in between, and they're usually just beautiful. And then you have hiking right on property and things like that. They're the things that I'm kind of looking for. I don't necessarily need the basketball courts or the swimming pool or the tennis courts and things like that right at my fingertips like that at a resort. And I also find too, Sean, I don't know if you notice this too, like RV parks are quick to name themselves an RV resort. And I'm not sure if KOA breaks this down or like what is a resort compared to a park. But I feel like I've stayed at a few RV parks that call themselves resorts. And I'm like, I don't know if this qualifies as a resort. What are you offering here to really make it a resort? Like I think of Fort Wilderness Lodge. That's a resort. Like that is
Yeah.
a full RV resort. You have every amenity possible. And then I've stayed at some campgrounds that, they offer a washer, dryer, and a basketball court, and they're like, "Oh, well, we're an RV resort because we got a basketball court and washer, dryer." I think for a resort, I feel like you have to have at least a pool, but I think it's more than just a swimming pool. Like, I think if you have a pool, a basketball court, and laundry, I still don't think you're a resort. I think you're still an RV park. Like, if you don't have food and a bar, if you don't have more amenities than just basketball, like if you don't have the pickleball and tennis and maybe the mini golf, I think there's a very blurred line between that parks and resorts. And I think a lot of RV parks name themselves resorts just to get that premium income, to say, oh, well, we're a resort, so we're going to charge you an extra $10 a day because we got resort fees. And this comes up to another question. Leave a comment. Like, and if you're listening, what would you say an RV park has to have to become a resort? To me, I think it might be food. I think food on property, whether that be a pancake breakfast or a bar or just quick service meals, pizza and stuff like that. I think you need some type of food to really be resort level.
I think of a resort as a place where you don't have to leave to
Hmm.
have a vacation. Like, you
Yeah.
don't have to go anywhere else. You can stay right there and it's a full vacation.
I like that, Sean. Yeah, you don't have to leave the property to get a full vacation experience. I think that's really
Yeah.
good. And, we're talking about resort pricing, and of course, it's more expensive. I just want to remind people about Passport America. If you are going out and you're going to campgrounds, take a look at the Passport America app because you might be able to save up to 50% of that campground stay right there, like to a place that you're already going to. So it's worth the look if you purchase the Passport America. I know this sounds like an ad. It's not an ad. I just use it a lot, and I save 50% at a lot of the campgrounds that I'm staying at. I even drive out of my way sometimes to get that 50% off at the campground.
But if you do use the link on our website, you can get an additional 3 months.
Yeah, I think it's interesting too that the KOA report man, I'm telling you, it's like a 55 to 56 page report. They break down so many things, but they even like look at new campers versus experienced campers and what the difference is and how we camp differently because because of the pandemic, it brought millions of new campers and many of those stayed. Like I said, I think you either know right away that you love it or you hate it. I don't think anybody's like, RVing's just okay. I don't know. I've never heard anybody say RVing is just okay. Like, I think you either like it or you hate it type of thing. And the younger campers that are coming in differently, the report is showing that there's less ownership and more rentals, something that we just mentioned a little earlier. Nearly half of those campers are open to the idea of renting. I don't know if I'm considered an experienced camper yet. I'm almost 10 years in, but I know when I was a new camper, the very first RV camping experience I had was a rental. I think that was one of the best decisions Sabrina and I ever made was to rent an RV before we went out and bought it. So it's no surprise to me that RV renting is becoming popular.
Yeah, what's disappointing to me about rentals is that, again, I think some people are being priced out of being able to rent. If I had the money, I would start a RV rental business that was low cost. So not a barrier to entry for, like I said, those lower income families that want to get out. I think having affordable rentals is a great way to get more people out there. But I understand people want to make money and maximize their profits, but there does need to be some affordability to keep people coming into the camping lifestyle.
Yeah, and Sean, you rented how long ago was that? 2 years ago that you
2
guys rented
years,
that that Class C motorhome? You had it for how long?
a week.
A week. Did you find the overall rental experience enjoyable as far as the pickup, the drop off, any ease of convenience or anything like that as far as, you don't have to store it or anything like that, right? You just kind of pick up and you drop it back off when you're done with
Yeah, it
it.
was very easy. Very, very easy.
You didn't do like a peer-to-peer rental, right? Did you go through a company, I think?
Yeah, we used Cruise America.
Oh
Just
yeah, it's very popular.
it's a little more affordable too, I guess, because 'cause they're so big. It's a little
Mhm.
more affordable, but if you're going through, like, Outdoorsy or any of these RV and Go, any of these peer-to-peer rentals seem to be very expensive.
Yeah, that's what I hear too. That I hear mixed. I honestly I hear mixed. I hear some people say that they can be cheaper, and I guess that just depends on who that person is that's renting, right? Because they kind of set their own prices. The advantage that I hear with like an outdoorsy or RV and go and things like that is that if you're looking to purchase a particular model, there's a good chance, depending on where you live, you can maybe find that brand and that model that you want to rent compared to, say, Cruise America, where they're going a lot of times. Like, did you even know what your brand was, Sean? Did it tell you what brand RV
No,
you had? It was just
no,
right traditional Class C motorhome. It wasn't like, oh,
no.
this is a Thor, yada yada yada, or this is a Winnebago, yada yada yada. Yeah, so that's the advantage that I hear, like with the outdoorsy and the other like peer to peer rentals is that you know exactly what model it is, the year, like you get all that information. So if you were shopping and you're like, oh, I wanted to buy a Winnebago View, you could actually go to one of those sites and rent a Winnebago View from like an outdoorsy or something like that. That's the advantage that I hear with. I would say that's the biggest advantage that I hear from them is that you're renting exactly what you want type of thing.
Yeah, maybe the older I get, Kenny, the less capitalist I get, but I just think, you don't need to. I feel like
Gouge.
there's gotta be some people out there that don't maximize their profits to the limit at the expense of keeping some people out of being able to RV.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you don't have to gouge everybody. And then, there's a couple interesting questions that could be asked here. Is ownership declining in long term? It sounds like it is, but I don't think it really is. Like I said, I think if you get into RVing and you really love it, you don't want to own one of your own. Like you're just so you'll want your own so that you can, at any drop of the hat type of thing, go out, go for, and an RV trip doesn't have to be a week long. It could be a weekend. It could be 2 days. It could be just an overnight trip, just to kind of break up your your week to week routine. So I think people will still choose ownership over renting for the most part. Does it impact RV sales? No, because those rentals have to be sold. Somebody's got to be buying the rentals. If anything, the more popular RV rentals become, the more sales there's going to be because those companies are going to be purchasing more RVs to rent them out. In fact, it might even make the RV rental market or the purchasing even larger because these RV companies will purchase multiple vehicles compared to just one at a time type of thing.
You know what I think is a bigger impact on RV sales than the rental market or any other factor? It's the stupid HOAs that don't let people park RVs at their properties.
Yep, not even a B van.
Yeah.
If it's got like an AC unit up on the roof, they don't want to see it.
Yeah, so then people have to pay for storage somewhere, even though they may have plenty of room on their property.
Yeah, they could even have. I've even seen HOAs that won't let you, even if you have like a gated fence or some type of fence that you park behind it. And same thing with boats. They're not
Yeah,
just
boats too.
restricting RVs. They don't want to see boats on the property either. It's just the HOAs are tough sometimes. They're super strict. It's unfortunate. You mentioned storage, Sean. I think storage now is bigger than it's ever been in the country. I see so many storage lots and I see them advertising now more than ever than before. Store your RV here too. And I don't remember seeing so many RV storage signs as I do today. And it's got to be from all these HOA developments going up. It's expensive too to store your RV. When Sabrina and I first bought our motorhome, we were living in an apartment in Virginia. We were getting ready to hit the road full time. But for the first 4 months, we had to have our RV in storage. And it wasn't easy at that time to find a storage place even that allowed us to have an RV parked. We found one that was near us and they only had like, I'm going to say 10 to 15 spots. And that was it. That's all they had for RV storage. But now it seems to be pretty easy. I see RV storage signs everywhere. Nothing as nice though as the National RV Indoor
Oh, yeah, the
storage,
indoor
where
RV centers, yeah.
they store it inside. They plug it in for you. They'll turn your refrigerator on for you and get it ready. That's like RV storage glamping.
Yeah, exactly.
They get it all ready. They even wash it, I think, and pull it up to the front, like when you come to go pick it up. I think that's pretty cool.
And they do the maintenance on it too.
They do. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's rich people stuff, Kenny.
That is rich people stuff. That
Uh,
is not for me. Yeah. I spend too much I I spend too much money on travel to be rich.
yeah.
I spend too much of my money in general to be rich. Between RVing and Jeeping. It's expensive. It adds up. Like Sean had mentioned earlier in the episode, the KOA report really is about tracking trends and seeing, what the future kind of holds and where are we coming from. KOA is reporting that 31% of campers plan to take more trips and stay longer in the future. That's low, right? Sure, I feel like 31% of people plan to take more trips and stay longer. So I guess that does go in correlation of what you were saying that the frequency is dropping. My goal every year is to take more trips this year than I did the previous year. Like I want to be on the road as much as possible. I'm trying to get away from the house as often as I can. So I'm surprised that that number is only 31% plan on doing more trips. But you know what? We are creatures of habit. And I know from going to different campgrounds and talking to people that, say I'm at Withville, Virginia, and the campground there. That's one of my favorite KOAs. When we're talking to our neighbors for that week that we're there or whatever time of year that we're there, they typically tell me like, "Oh, this is one of our big trips that we do every year. This is something that we do every year. We do about 3 trips." And they have the plan that they've been doing the same 3 trips every year for the last 5 years. That's their routine. We got 3 places that we really like. They're the 3 places that we go to. We don't really explore any more than that. So
yeah.
I guess I agree with that 31%. I would have just expected it to be a little higher. That I'm surprised there's not more people like me that want to go on more trips and stay out longer. I don't want to come back home. I guess it signifies though that people are very intentional, and that could be, we said this a couple times already, the economics of things right now. Like you're not really going to be planning more trips now with fuel prices being like what they're at. So maybe that makes sense. I'm not really sure when this data is collected, if the fuel pricing was already going up, but I'm sure if you surveyed people like today, right now, they would say, yeah, we're going to cut back a little bit on how far we're going to travel and how far, we plan to be out for. Because I mean, my RV, I get 7.5 miles per gallon. It's 80-gallon tank. It's very expensive to kind of fill up. But I think people will be more conscious and more intentional with their travel.
One thing that's I think is gaining in popularity is seasonal sites. There's a campground that we go to near Virginia Beach. They have a lot of seasonal sites, and people put their RV there at the beginning of the season, decorate their site however they want it, and come back on weekends, and then they never have to worry about the fuel part of it.
Yep.
They just are getting it there and then taking it home at the end of the season. That's not necessarily, I guess, a quote unquote trip, but it is spending time in your RV, at a location. So maybe there'll be more, if this stays, maybe there'll be more seasonal sites and seasonal camping versus traveling to multiple locations.
That's the way I believe that RVing becomes the most economical. There's just the cheapest way to RV is really either a monthly site, seasonal site, yearly site, even, because then they typically will give you a much better deal than, say, a campground's like $60 a night, but they might rent that same site for like $400 a month. They might ask you to pay the electric, but if you got some solar on your roof, you can kind of supplement that. So you're not really spending all that much in electric bills. Of course, if you go full solar in their site, they're probably going to give you a hard time about it. They're going to say, something's not right with the meter. They're going to find reasons to charge you. They might even just charge you a minimum for electricity if they find out that you're using 100% of your solar. They'll just start charging you a minimum electrical flat rate type of thing. But that's still the way to go is a seasonal or monthly site. Anytime you can park more than you're driving is going to be cheaper on RVing for a few reasons. It's good to get your RV out moving every once in a while for maintenance. Just, nothing likes to sit for long periods of time. Sitting, I believe anyway, for like long periods of time is never a good thing for anything mechanical. But if you can park for a month at a time, you're going to save a ton of money in fuel. You're going to save a ton of money in your daily rate, and you're still going to have a great time. You're still out in your RV.
Yeah, exactly.
Just because you're not moving around, say you're stationary for that month, everybody around you is moving around. So, if your goal is to meet different people, you're still going to get a variety of people coming in and out of that campground that you'll be able to hang out with and chat with. And if you have like a dog that's very friendly, you can always get your dog to socialize with other people's dogs.
The pets are one thing we haven't mentioned yet, Kenny, that was in the report that was kind of surprising is pets are no longer like a nice to have on vacation, but many families build the pet traveling with them into the decision. And so in this report for this year, it said 37% of campers bring their pets. 62% of millennials always or sometimes camp with pets. 60% of Gen Z say that off-leash access is essential to picking where they camp. So
Hmm.
I think pet-friendly locations and pet-friendly campgrounds are becoming more important. And I think campgrounds that do put pets into the factor when designing and making the rules around their campground, I think they will have sort of a competitive advantage in the future of attracting more campers, particularly the millennials.
I'm surprised that you said it was 31%, Sean, overall. That uh,
37.
37%. I would have guessed higher. I feel like everybody's got a dog, a dog or a cat. I feel like I see so many animals at campgrounds, and when I'm traveling, even at a rest area, and we're letting Belle out. There's always other RVs at the rest area letting their dogs out at the same time. So I'm surprised it's only I would have guessed it'd be higher than 37%. But you're saying over 60% though with the younger generation. So
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe I am seeing younger people on the road. I'm gonna have to start looking at people's ages. Everybody's starting to look young to me though. So the older I get, the younger everybody else looks. I'm gonna have to take a look. What are we, Sean? Are we Gen X? I
We're
think
Gen X. Yeah.
we're Gen X. Yeah.
That's one good thing though about I'll say about KOAs is that they all have a dog park where you can take your dog off leash
Yep.
and they can run around.
I,
That's seems to be pretty important to the younger generation. So I think as campgrounds evolve, they're going to have to put these pets into their design and considerations.
I mean, I'm Gen X, and I think the off leash dog park is a big deal for us too. Belle loves to go to the park. I gotta whisper it because she's in the room, but I know personally, even when I'm traveling now, I stay or stop, I should say, I stop at a lot of Love's travel centers because most of them now have dog parks also. And Belle likes to get out. Even if it's just a small little park, she just likes being off leash. I would want to be also, she wants to do her own thing. She likes being somewhat independent. She looks back and makes sure that I'm not leaving her, but she enjoys getting off that leash for a little bit and just kind of being her own boss and moseying around a small park or a large park on her own. She doesn't run, she's 12 now. She doesn't run like she used to. So she doesn't need a big park like she did back in the day, but she still appreciates a large park because she likes to sniff the entire perimeter. I don't know why the perimeter, but she goes around the entire perimeter of the fence sniffing it. I don't know what she's looking for.
Yeah, so there's definite differences between the generations
hmm
of campers and what exactly they're looking for.
I enjoy seeing all the pets and the dogs and all the different breeds that are out there. I think it's great that people bring their pets. I think it's a great way to travel with a pet. I think if you have a pet, it's the best way to travel for vacation because almost every campground, I don't know if I've ever been to a campground that wasn't pet friendly. And of course, your own RV and space is going to be pet friendly compared to like a hotel or something like that. So, yeah, I think it's the best way to travel. If you have a pet, you should have an RV. Coming back a little bit around again to the evolution of campgrounds and talking more about like amenities and resort style camping. I wonder with this younger generation if there's a higher expectation overall for RVing and camping because of social media. I wonder if like people watch social media and then I wonder if they're disappointed in the in the actual experience once they get out there. They're like, "Oh, we're not getting the sunset that I thought that we would get every night." Or I wonder if it's if people if social media or how much of a role social media plays into these campgrounds trying to build themselves up as resort style camping and moving away from cheap and simple to I don't know, more lavish, I guess.
I do think social media only shows the really great parts of it and not
Mhm.
the entire picture. So there's very few people that post negative or unsightly things on social media unless they're mad about something.
Yeah, it's usually anger based in those
Yeah.
situations, and it's not usually the location. It's just frustration with another person,
Right.
frustration with their equipment, but it's very rarely do I see a post that says, "Oh, this campground sucks.
Yeah.
This location sucks. This national park. We went to Zion in the winter and it was freezing and we couldn't even go outside," type of thing. Yeah, I bet you the social media plays plays a big part in the explosion of RVing as far as, its growth, the rental rates, I bet you are a big part of social media and people's expectations of it, and maybe possibly disappointment as well, depending on
So, a few kind of wrap up things, Kenny. I think my bottom line from reading this report, and I encourage everybody to download it. It's
Mhm.
on the KOA website. You can go to the KOA website and you can download the full report as a PDF and go through all the graphs and charts and highlights that they have in there. It's a whole section on Canada they've added in there, so you can get the US perspective, the Canadian perspective. It's a really great report. I really enjoy reading it, and we're just giving you little pieces out of, like Kenny said, the 50 plus pages of information that are in there. But the bottom line for me is I think we need to focus on affordability and not keep pricing more and more people out of this experience. I think it's a great experience. I think we should share it with everyone. It should be available to everyone. And so there needs to be some avenues for lower income people to get into this and experience it.
And I think it's across the board. I think it's the manufacturer as well as the campground resorts to even the supplies that we need. The sewer hoses, just everything is way more expensive now than it used to be. There are very few deals I feel like available to the campers. I mean, there's still a lot of the groups that are out there that offer discounts, and they're probably more important now than they ever been. The groups like FMCA and things like that you can join the clubs and get like group discounts on stuff is probably more important now than ever because man, it really has become expensive to RV.
Yeah,
It is,
now that you mention that, Kenny, that's probably one of the few things that hasn't become expensive is like a FRVA or FMCA membership. It's pretty much stayed the same for
yeah.
several years, and the discounts keep growing. So, but everything else has become super expensive.
That was a good correction on your point, Sean. I still call it FMCA. I always forget it's now FRBA, and we've even had them on the show talking about the name change, and I still get it wrong. Old dog, new tricks. It's tough for me. But we definitely want to hear from you, the listener. What do you think is going to happen in the RV industry? If rentals grows, what does that mean for manufacturing? If this glamping industry grows, who's that a win for? Is it a win for us, the consumer? Are we really looking for more glamping locations? I'm usually just looking for the cheapest stay possible. But that's me. I mean, I'm sleeping at Love's travel centers and casinos, so I don't have to spend the money on a campground. But I know that's not the norm. If say fuel prices continue to go the way they are, does that mean that vehicles like mine, that only get 7.5 miles per gallon, do people start shying away from that and start looking at a van or a small class C? What does that mean for sales of these vehicles? Of course, we want to hear from you and we want to hear your take. We'd love for you to read over the entire, well, whatever parts you want. You don't have to read the whole thing of the report and get back to us and let us know, what did you find the most interesting? What surprised you the most? Like for me, what surprised me the most was that the 37% for pets. I would have guessed that it was higher. I would have guessed 50%, easy 50%. Was there anything in there that maybe didn't surprise you that you were like, oh yeah, I totally agree with this. This is exactly what I'm seeing. And this is a good question because I am shopping. Sabrina and I are shopping for a new to us, I'll say, RV. If you were to do this all over again, would you still purchase an RV or would you now rent? Like Sabrina and I are shopping. We love this RV lifestyle. We're going to buy another RV. Our RV is 10 years old now, and we have 170 some thousand miles on it. We're going to be, by the time we buy a new one, we'll be up to 200,000 miles. We've had a great time with it. So we're going to buy another RV. But would you get into RVing today all over again type of thing? So a lot of questions out there for you guys, I guess. So that's the episode for today. Sean and I appreciate not only you listening, but we also appreciate KOA putting together this report. This is a report that Sean and I look at every single year. I would say it's probably one of the more accurate reports out there. They do a great job of their surveying and getting everybody's opinions and tracking the market. Like it's a very well-rounded type of report. So if you haven't checked it out, again, I'm going to put that link in our show notes. You'll be able to just click the link. It'll take you right to the KOA report and you'll be able to take a look for yourself. But that's everything for us. And this week, we do have some guests. We've actually recorded some interviews with guests. We are going to get back to having guests on the show. We've been asked to hold on to some of the episodes that we have because they're not ready to be released just yet. So that should make you guys excited to hear what we have coming up. We want to wish you guys safe travels. We want you to take care. Take a look at our show notes. Take a look and follow us on Facebook, Beyond the Wheel Podcast. All right, everybody, take care, safe travels, and we will catch you next time.